Hello and welcome to Montecito After Sunset. You are entering a world of deception. If you haven't listened to episode 5 of Montecito, go back and give it a listen because we are about to break down all the behind the scenes scoop with executive story editor Andrew Pemberton Fowler. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Christy. Hi, Grant.
Great to see you. We also have the creator and executive producer of Montecito, Grant Rutter, joining us. Hey, Grant.
Good to be back. Thanks, Christy.
Woohoo! And very special today, we also have music artist and actor who has appeared in hundreds of episodes of General Hospital as fans' favorite nurse, Felix Dubois. He also impressed us with his dance moves in last year's #1 Christmas movie, The Merry Gentleman. Welcome, Marc Anthony Samuel.
Hey, guys.
We are so excited to have you here to let us into a little bit of the behind the scenes of creating Gio and this incredible story that is unfolding before us. Really, I want to start with, though, Marc, what did you think of this project when it first came to you? What was your approach or your initial thoughts?
I saw it and I was like, this sounds really, it's not anything complex. It was like, oh, this seems cool. Oh, that seems like a cool role. Okay, let's do it. I'm pretty simple like that.
Was the thought of doing it without a set, without wardrobe, without other actors to play off of, is that something that excites you or does that seem like a challenge?
All of it is fun to me. Anytime I get an opportunity to do any type of acting job, vocal, on camera, anything, audiobook, it doesn't matter. It's always fun to be able to go through the same process that I would go through with any type of role. And obviously there's certain things you don't have to worry about when you're doing audio type of drama. You don't have to put makeup on. You don't have to, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. You literally could be in your slippers, rollers, whatever, and just do the job and move on. But internally, everything else is the same. You think in terms of who is this person? What are their beliefs? What is their background? What are the relationships? If there's a long history of certain things, then you want to study it. But if it's new, then you are essentially the captain of that ship as far as creating the detail work on who this person is. And that's pretty exciting as well. You end up being the first to play it. So you're not like a soap opera. You'll see hundreds and hundreds of times over people replacing other people that have been characters on other shows. And that can be tough because then you're at the judgment of the loyal fans who've become accustomed to a particular person playing a certain role. I had the good fortune of being the first character. So yeah, it's a privilege when you don't have to do that.
So that's what makes it attractive, right? If you're the first one who can show everybody who this person is.
It doesn't hurt.
And this was a huge episode for Gio, of course. We learned that he actually has some skeletons in his closet as well. Looking forward to hearing more about that. And so we have that drama that soap operas are known for in this episode. Also the love and the romance in your scenes, particularly, Marc.
Yes.
Grant and Andrew, how much do you balance keeping people in the current storyline, but also giving us those little tidbits about Gio?
What's interesting about your question is specifically for Gio, we tried to be really ambiguous about his past. Helena asked him about it when he has those scenes with Deacon in episode 2. He's changes the subject and it's very general, where others' backstory is extremely important and it shapes the relationships. And I want to give as much information as possible. But Gio, we don't really know a lot, and that's by design.
And we also have Gio come into the show. So he is technically an outsider, but he's an insider, but he's been away long enough where there is that distance that we come to realize exists with the character. So it's fun to watch him unfold when everyone else is an open book.
And so, Marc, are you giving Gio a little bit of a backstory? Are you filling in some of the blanks just for yourself?
Oh, absolutely. And not only am I filling in blanks that would be within story, I'm also not landing on anything. I don't create absolutes. Even when I'm going through the character's beliefs, I mark out things which are important to the character. But as it relates to conflict, I never land on one thing, absolutely, because that limits you and it limits the possibilities of any type of character complexity. I may say, he may be like, he believes this thing is wrong, but at one time he did that thing because of this, that, or other circumstances. So he can't be so gung-ho about judgment unless he felt horrible about it. Look, there's always a reason, basically, but you never land on anything, and it just makes stuff interesting. And that's something that I would do on camera too as an actor. I wouldn't just land on absolutes. We're all complex creatures. You can be a friendly racist. You can be a super sexy priest, or you can be like an ogre looking person with the most beautiful heart and wonderful singing voice. It's just, we're not just one thing.
And Gio and Deacon had these beautiful scenes where they really showed the dynamic side of all of their characters. And in addition to your great performance, there was also some really great music in this episode that really stood out for the first time. In this episode, I was going, oh, wow, we're hearing lyrics and it really is helping to set the tone. Grant, were these songs special in this episode?
Some were actually. Yeah, the boathouse scenes had music from, I believe, my great uncle, if we have to get technical with that, but a family member who is a musician. And I don't know if he would classify it as like yacht rock, but that's how I look at it. It's a little by the ocean and inspired. So it was like the perfect backdrop for these boathouse scenes where Gio and Deacon are talking about it being golden hour and the busyness of this restaurant, and a live band is performing. And I just thought it worked really well. And I wanted something that felt like there was someone performing there. These are well-to-do people. So they're not playing a CD. So it's all about building the atmosphere in the world and all that. So yeah, that was like a nice, unique touch that I'm grateful to Steve DeConti for letting me use his music there. And it adds all these little things. They just add to the production value.
They do. And there's one particular scene at the Boathouse restaurant, too, where just so much goes down. When you're not thinking about these public scenes really playing out in front of people on a set or whatever it is, how do you really keep those real or make sure it's not too much, Mark, even in your performance? How do you make sure you're not just going crazy when it's just you in a booth with a microphone, Mark?
I think it's important when you're doing your homework, when you're looking over stuff, to understand the space and understand what type of conversation's happening, because there's going to be a huge difference between an intimate conversation between two people and just a lightly social, hey man, what's going on? A little more distance, a little less stakes, if you will. And so long as you're staying grounded in the reality of physical space, whatever came before, what the characters, again, beliefs and fears, all those things, as long as you're staying anchored in all of those things, you're always going to come out correct, if that, for lack of a better term. It's always going to be right. Now, technically, there may be certain things that you have to do to accommodate the actual audio drama. I can't be this close to a microphone and yelling across the room, hey, George, let's go get a pizza. It's just not going to work. So yeah, there's the meeting of the actual art and tech and the technical aspect, which is the way it always is.
And how does the script writing and what you, Andrew, and Grant have presented, how does that kind of play into it? Or how do you think about a scene like that before you write it?
So we always set the interior or exterior of a location, then also the time of day informs how people interact with the space. So if it's 6:30 at a restaurant versus 9:30 versus midnight, you're going to have a different way of interacting with the space. People interact differently with each other. So that's also really important. That's the little piece of information we like to give talent, but also it goes into post-production for Trey. So he knows where we are in the day. Also, we do say in the script if an actor is approaching a scene as a character or if they're moving away from a scene or from a conversation. So we can add those footsteps. We can fade in their voices or fade them out as needed. Moreover, if you are, as you see in this episode, Mina and Gio go outside. So the sounds of the restaurant that you're hearing that are present now become secondary because now they're outside. It's the ocean. They're further away from the scene we've just heard.
Well, and in these intimate scenes with Gio and Deacon, getting to know them as a couple makes me really rooting. I'm rooting for them at this point. And it's not just that we're rooting for Mina to lose either. Here at episode 5, they're really in their little love bubble. They just got back together and things are going great so far, a day or two. Mark, at this point in the story, were you rooting for Gio and Deacon?
I'd be lying if I said I'm not rooting for Gio and Deacon. You want the people in a narrative that are seemingly trying to make the best and do the right thing and make good choices and aren't making the choices out of malice or secondary intent. You want them to get what they're aiming for. And you know, if another character is making lesser choices or doing things out of greed or out of anger or malice. Every sane person would want to root against that person. So yes, I was rooting for my character. Yeah.
We had to have an intimate scene so we could, obviously, there's sex and soaps, there's love and romance. So at this point, there was a lot of boardroom stuff. So it was time to get back to more intimate conversations, this pillow talk scene. But also, like you said, they are in a love bubble in this moment. And it's showing them at their peak for them. They're back, they're expressing themselves, they're in bed. So it was we have to show the course of their reconnection. So this was actually a really big scene for them, and it was fun and flirty, but it also had those moments where Deacon's asking, have I changed a lot? And they're really connecting.
Well, I am on the edge of my seat listening at this point. So, Grant, can you give us a little tease for episode 6? What can we expect?
So the next episode is really going to have two different kind of ends of the spectrum. So there's really emotional scenes with Deacon and Gio. There's fallout from this final scene of this episode. So we're really getting into an emotional storytelling element that is obviously a cornerstone of soaps. And then there's some fun little moments. I don't want to give too much away, but there's some really fun, more Bethany, Gina, and Mina at a scene that always seems to make me laugh the way Trey edited it. There's a nice balance. That's my preview. A nice balance of soap in the next episode.
And Mark, I know you are a busy guy and always making music as well. Is there something in particular that you're working on right now?
Right now is about I have what I've always referred to in my career as being relevant and having time to develop. After a peak of relevance, or where you get a lot of press for things you've done, when you're going on the other part of it, you're taking class, you're studying, you're minding your physical health, you're doing certain things in order to move on to the next thing. And right now I'm doing a lot of classwork, back into some acting classes. So I have things that I can't comment on. I'm not allowed to. And number two, they aren't a thing yet. So when we come to the bridge, then we cross it. So I'll just say I'm staying ready. That's all I'll say for right now.
You must enjoy that stage, though, too.
Oh, yeah. I can't see a person who loves doing this job not wanting to get better and learn more about what they do and broaden their education and their experience level and booster their own confidence when they go into the room, because it's a place where you're safe, where you can make mistakes, where you can commit errors and you're not going to be penalized for it. As a matter of fact, you'll probably just become better when you go back in to your next job or your next opportunity.
That's really cool. Wow. Thank you for sharing so much with us today, Mark. I'm sure everyone will want to keep up with you online. Where can they do that at?
If you would like to, I am on Instagram. That is MarCasart, Mark as Art, Marc Anthony Samuel Artist.
I want to remind everybody watching that if you have questions for Andrew or Grant, Mark, or we may have some of the other cast joining us in the future for the after show, please hit us up, leave a comment right here on YouTube or on the Montecito Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you again, Mark, for joining us. This was Montecito After Sunset. We'll see you next time.